UFC Rio was fire. Your boy came up 50 units riding the Rio wave propelled by Lucas Almeida's balloon hand. Mario Pinto came through in a big way to short my parlays. And if it wasn't for Montel Jackson's disappearing act, we could have nailed these two monster parlays. But the UFC is headed back to Canada to host Reinier de Ridder, who's looking to stay perfect in the UFC as he faces Brendan Allen, who is fresh off whooping the living daylights off Marvin Vettori. Kevin Holland will try to get back into the win column as he faces Ontario's Mike Malott, who is now on a 2-fight win streak. Martin Chito Vera returns to the octagon to face the Canadian Eamon Zahabi, who seems to be unbeatable, and title contender Manon Fiorot will look to bounce back against fan favorite Jasmine Jasudavicius. Matt the Steamroller Frevola faces off against Kyle Nelson, and Charles Air Jourdain takes on dangerous Davey Grant. It's Reinier de Ridder versus Brendan Allen on Fight IQ with Vaughn. Kicking off the card is Tainara Lisboa versus Melissa Croden. Croden is making her UFC debut while Lisboa is coming off a loss to Luana Santos via Americana on round 2. Croden opened up as the plus 235 underdog, but the line has moved and she is now the favorite at minus 125 with a win probability of 55.6%. The win probability calculator has Croden as the favorite at minus 146 with a true win probability of 59.3%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Lisboa to win 70% of the time, 50% via decision. Lisboa is a 2-time Muay Thai world champion, a Brazilian and South American champion, and a CBJJE no-gi world champion. She's also a BJJ purple belt. But until she faced Luana Santos, she fought a bunch of nobodies. Lisboa is returning after a lengthy absence following knee cartilage reconstruction surgery when she faced Santos, but Santos, who is a BJJ blue belt, took Lisboa down at will and submitted her round 2. Croden is levels above both Lisboa and Santos in jiu-jitsu. As a brown belt, she demoted her own self to purple belt because she felt that her skills weren't commensurate of a brown belt. But she was re-promoted to brown belt by one of her teachers, and she has a nasty clinch game. Both fighters have Muay Thai strike styles, and both fighters have high finish rates. The Sim believes the bright lights will be too much for Melissa Croden, but I believe fighting at home will help her get over that hump. My pick is Melissa Croden via TKO. Next up is Azamat Bekoev versus Yusri Belgaroui. Bekoev is perfect in the UFC and is on an impressive 8-fight win streak. Belgaroui is making his UFC debut after going 1-1 in Dana White's Contender Series. Bekoev opened as the minus 500 favorite, but the line has decreased to a minus 290 with a win probability of 75.3%. The win probability calculator has Bekoev as the favorite at minus 366 with a true win probability of 78.5%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Bekoev to win 85% of the time, 40% via decision or by KO. Yusri Belgaroui is 6'5" and he's going to have a 7-inch reach advantage. And he's also on a 3-fight win streak, but against no-name opponents with the exception of Marco Tullio, whom he lost to. Bekoev may not have many fights in the UFC, but he has far more professional MMA experience than Belgaroui, who began his training in MMA in 2021. But Belgaroui is no stranger to the big lights, having a kickboxing career that includes fighting now UFC champ Alex Pereira 3 times and former UFC champ Israel Adesanya 2 times. Belgaroui has an 81% takedown defense rate, but I believe that that's going to be tested by Bekoev, who averages 2.59 takedowns per fight, but he only has a 33% takedown average, meaning that he incessantly keeps trying to go for those takedowns to achieve that 2.59 average. Bekoev is a master of sports in Sambo, and he has been fighting professionally for over a decade. My pick is Azamat Bekoev via KO. Next up is Stephanie Luciano versus Ravina Oliveira. Luciano is coming off a split decision loss to Sam Hughes, while Oliveira is coming off a decision loss to Tainara Lisboa. Luciano opened as the minus 325 favorite, and the line has shifted to minus 280 with a win probability of 73.7%. The win probability calculator has Luciano as the favorite at minus 138 with a true win probability of 58%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Luciano to win 85% of the time, 44% via KO, 35% via decision. Luciano is a talented black belt Muay Thai practitioner, and she beat Talitha Alencar, who is a decorated BJJ black belt. Oliveira, for the most part, was inactive and ineffective versus Lisboa, landing 15 significant strikes and a total of 61 strikes overall over the course of 15 minutes. This is reflected in her abysmal average significant strikes landed per minute of just 1. She's also coming off a significant layoff from an injury. With a BJJ brown belt, it's obvious that Oliveira wants to take this fight to the mat, but taking down Luciano is not only going to be difficult, it might be flat out dangerous. Oliveira has beat a who's who of no-name cans, and I don't think she has the goods to cash in against Luciano. My pick is Stephanie Luciano via decision. Next, we have UFC veteran Drew Dober versus Canadian Kyle Prepolec. Dober has been struggling to get a win in the UFC, losing 4 of his last 5. Prepolec is also coming off a loss, although it was to Benoit Saint-Denis, and it was on short notice. Dober opened as the minus 300 favorite, and that line has ballooned to minus 550 with a win probability of 84.6%. The win probability calculator has Dober as the favorite at minus 129 with a true win probability of 56.2%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Prepolec to win 65% of the time, 35% via KO. Dober suffers from serious durability issues despite that massive chin. He's been knocked out and submitted 4 times each and is coming off back-to-back KOs. The last time Drew Dober won a fight was in 2023 against Ricky Glenn. Both fighters are reaching the twilight of their careers, and Prepolec didn't look good at all as he was dominated by Benoit Saint-Denis until he was submitted in the second round. My heart really does want to go with Drew Dober, and he does dominate the fighter metrics, but that chin has taken so much damage, it's hard to pick against him against a more durable fighter. And I'm perplexed as to why Drew Dober is a minus 550 favorite. He's grossly overpriced, and he's going to be fighting in enemy territory. I'm concerned picking either side, and I'm not confident Drew Dober can get past the second round. I also don't think this is the only simulation that has picked Kyle Prepolec. That being said, my pick is still Drew Dober via KO, but you best believe I threw money on Kyle Prepolec at plus 390 in Canada with an expected value of plus 23.76%. Next, we should have a fun fight between Danny Barlow and Jourdain Santos. Barlow is coming off his first professional loss, while Santos is coming off his UFC debut loss against Ozzy Diaz. Barlow opened up as the minus 300 favorite, and the line has leveled out at minus 300 with a win probability of 75%. The win probability calculator has Barlow as the favorite at minus 142 with a true win probability of 58.6%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Barlow to win 60% of the time, 40% via decision. To say Danny Barlow is overpriced is an understatement. He hasn't been impressive in the UFC after going to a split decision with Nikolai Veretennikov when Barlow was a minus 375 favorite. Santos hasn't really fought anyone either, a who's who of nobodies in 10 different organizations. And Santos was also a minus 200 favorite against his fight with Ozzy Diaz, but he lost that one via unanimous decision, which is crazy considering how many people believe Santos actually won that fight. This is a winnable fight for Santos against an overhyped fighter who just got knocked out by a submission specialist. But this could also be a redemption fight for Danny Barlow, who to put us on notice that left hand to God is still that dog. Santos' striking looked sharp against Diaz, and Barlow is definitely hittable. My pick is Danny Barlow via decision, but I am throwing money on Jourdain Santos at plus 250 with an expected value of plus 12.78%. Up next, we have Hyun Sung Park versus Bruno Silva. Park is coming off a loss to Tatsuro Taira, while Silva is also coming off losses to Joshua Van and Manel Kai. Park opened up as a minus 300 favorite, but the line has decreased to minus 220 with a win probability of 68.8%. The win probability calculator has Park as the favorite at minus 285 with a true win probability of 74%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Park to win 70% of the time, 30% via submission. This fight could be a trap. Bruno Silva has been on a tear until he hit a brick wall with Cape and Van. But Cape, he's a potential title contender, and Van, he's actually fighting for the belt at UFC 323. The caliber of fighters that Park has fought is much lower. Silva is a huge step up in competition for him. I am concerned that Silva is returning to the octagon too soon after back-to-back knockout losses in less than a year. But this is a winnable fight for Silva against another overhyped fighter who just got submitted a few months back. But Silva does leave himself open to getting hit, and his chin is highly questionable, leading to his lower cardio and durability rating. Park is a nasty striker, and he does have submission skills. And he was starting to hit his stride until they thrust him onto Tatsuro Taira. I think this is going to be a wild first round, but if Park can weather that storm, I think he's going to start taking over this fight and dominating by the third round. My pick is Hung Sung Park via KO round 3. For the featured prelim, we have Charles Air Jourdain versus Dangerous Davy Grant. Jourdain is coming off a win versus Victor Henry, while Grant is on a 2-fight win streak, most recently defeating Damon Blackshear via decision. Jourdain opened as the minus 200 favorite, and the line has decreased to minus 172 with a win probability of 63.2%. The AI fights, the win probability calculator has Jourdain as the slight favorite at minus 113 with a true win probability of 53.1%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Grant to win 55% of the time, 35% via decision. Jourdain's been a mixed bag in the UFC. He has 15 fights in the UFC, but he's only won 7 of those, and he's now lost 4 of his last 7. Grant has been profitable as an underdog, and he's tough and he's as durable as they come, but at 39, it's hard to just blindly pick him, even if the simulator did. Jourdain is coming off a 350-day layoff, but he's fighting in front of a Canadian crowd. It seems that Jourdain has difficulty with better competition, as his most impressive win has been over Ricardo Ramos, who just got starched last week. It just seems Grant knows what he's doing, and he has a plan and a career trajectory, whereas Jourdain is just surviving on the roster at this point. And that Damon Blackshear victory educated me as to Grant's true grit. My pick is Davy Grant via decision. Kicking off the main card is Matt the Steamroller Frevola versus Kyle the Monster Nelson. Frevola is coming off 2 losses, and Nelson is coming off a loss to Steve Garcia. Nelson opened up as a minus 170 favorite, but the line has flipped in favor of Frevola to minus 120 with a win probability of 54.5%. The win probability calculator has Nelson as the favorite at minus 125 with a true win probability of 55.5%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Nelson to win 65% of the time, 25% via KO or decision. Full disclosure, I am a Steamroller fan. I love how he engages his fans, and we're also part of that 420 culture, and he does make cameos on our site, my favorite site, 3 Punch Combo. But he's coming off 2 KO losses, and he hasn't won a fight since 2023. I'd say Frevola hit his peak in 2018, 2019, and he had a resurgence in 2022, but he's really hit a wall with the Saint Denis and with Fariz Zayam. And it's also been at least 385 days since either of these fighters has entered inside the octagon. But it's also been 5 years since Frevola fought a full 15 minutes. His cardio is suspect, and he's traveling to Canada. It's going to be up to Nelson to be defensively sound the first round so he can rack up points to win a split decision in front of the Canadian crowd. Both fighters are BJJ brown belts, so I expect that aspect of their arsenal to be negated. My pick is Kyle Nelson via split decision. Next up, we have Cody Gibson versus Aorigileng. I think this fight should be in the prelims, and I think the Jourdain versus Grant fight should be in this slot. Gibson is coming off a loss to Damon Blackshear, while Aorigileng is coming off a loss to Raul Rojas Jr. Gibson opened up as the plus 145 underdog, but that line has flipped to a minus 184 with a win probability of 64.8%. The win probability calculator has Gibson as the favorite at minus 158 with a true win probability of 61.3%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Gibson to win 75% of the time, 40% via decision. Gibson is on his second stint in the UFC and neither stint has really been successful. He went 1 for 4 in his first and he's currently 2 for 3 in his second stint. Aorigileng managed 3 wins in 8 fights in the UFC, and he does horribly against wrestlers and grapplers. Rosas Jr. was able to secure 42% of his takedown attempts against Aorigileng, and I expect Gibson will be able to take Aorigileng down basically at will without having to worry about Aorigileng's finishing rate, as Aorigileng has a 36% finish rate. I usually don't bet against the fighter that wears the funny hat, but I just can't pick Aorigileng in this fight. My pick is Cody Gibson via decision. Next up, we have a great matchup between Manon Fiorot and Jasmine Jasudavicius. Fiorot is coming off a loss to the champ Valentina Shevchenko, while Jasudavicius is on a 5-fight win streak, recently submitting Jessica Andrade in the first round. Fiorot opened up as the minus 200 favorite, and that line has increased to minus 225 with a win probability of 69.2%. The win probability calculator has Fiorot as a slight favorite at minus 111 with a true win probability of 52.7%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Fiorot to win 70% of the time, 60% via decision. You know, everybody's going to be rooting for Jasudavicius when she walks out into the octagon. But JJ's going to have a difficult time getting to that clinch, and even if she gets there, she'll have to contend with Fiorot's 87% takedown defense. And if this fight remains standing, Fiorot's volume's just going to be too much. I'm going to give Jasudavicius 4 attempts at taking Fiorot down, and if she can't get it done in 4 attempts, then she's not going to be able to win this fight. It's really that simple. So how many times did Shevchenko try to take down Fiorot? She took her down 2 times on 9 attempts. Aaron Blanchfield, 0 times on 3 attempts. Rose Namajunas, 0 times on 6 attempts. Jennifer Maia, 1 time on 4 attempts. Tabitha Ricci, 0 times on 1 attempt. Do you see the pattern here? It's very difficult to get Fiorot down, despite the best of the best trying to do it over 23 times to only secure 3 takedowns. My pick is Fiorot by decision. Next, we have a certified banger between Amin Zahabi and Marlon Chito Vera. Zahabi is on a hot 6-fight win streak, retiring Jose Aldo from the UFC, while Chito Vera is on a 2-fight losing streak and returning to the octagon after a 441-day layoff. Zahabi opened as the minus 250 favorite, and the line has dropped to minus 131 with a win probability of 56.4%. The win probability calculator has Vera as the slight favorite at minus 114 with a true win probability of 53.7%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Zahabi to win 75% of the time, 55% via decision. Chito Vera has a ton of experience, but he's also lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He's one of the most durable fighters in the UFC. He's never been knocked out or submitted in his professional career, which spans over a decade and a half. But ever since losing his first 2 fights in the UFC, Zahabi hasn't looked back, reeling wins over Ricky Turcios, Javid Basharat, Pedro Munoz, and most recently the King of Rio, Jose Aldo. Zahabi will be fighting in front of the home crowd and with all the confidence in the world. He'll be looking to outwork and outpoint Chito Vera for 3 rounds as the ring rust and cardio rust set in. Yeah, I just made that up, cardio rust. Zahabi will look to keep it measured and boring, while Vera will need to make it chaotic and dirty to have an opportunity to win. And I just can't see Chito Vera being the one who ends Zahabi's 6-fight win streak in Canada. My pick is Amin Zahabi via decision. Next is the co-main event between Mike Malott and Kevin Holland. Malott is on a 2-fight win streak, while Holland is coming off a loss to Daniel Rodriguez. Malott opened as the minus 150 favorite, and the line has dropped to minus 115 with a win probability of 54.1%. The win probability calculator has Malott as a favorite at -125 with a true win probability of 53.5%. The AI Fight Simulator picks Malott to win 75% of the time, 40% via submission. Holland will have a significant 8-inch reach advantage as he enters Malott's backyard, and Holland's fighter metrics indicate that he's a more well-rounded fighter than Malott, but the reality is that we can never know what to expect from Holland on any given fight. He can go out there and put away Gunnar Nelson and Vicente Luque, but those wins are sandwiched between losses to Roman Dolidze, Reinier de Ridder, and Daniel Rodriguez. In fact, his entire career looks like a club sandwich of wins and losses. I know that Malott's loss to Neil Magny still looms over everyone's head, but it was no fluke. Look at what Magny did to Jake Matthews. Does Holland have the skills to beat Malott? Yes. Can Holland execute those skills to beat Malott? Yes. The question will be, will Holland use his complete skill set in Malott's backyard to secure the win? And for me, the answer is no. Holland takes advantage when his fighters are on long layoffs or older than 40, but generally Holland is unreliable and Mike Malott is. So my pick is Mike Malott via submission. And for the main event, we have Reinier de Ridder versus late replacement Brendan Allen. De Ridder is on an impressive 5-fight win streak, and Allen got back to the win column after suffering 2 straight defeats. De Ridder opened as a -250 favorite, and the line has dropped to -205 with a win probability of 67.2%. The win probability calculator has De Ridder as the favorite at -175 with a true win probability of 63.7%. The AI Fight Simulator picks De Ridder to win 70% of the time, 35% via submission, or 30% via KO. Allen has a ton of experience, but he's also lost 2 of his last 3 fights. Allen is good. He's a top 10 middleweight in a murderer's row. But De Ridder has stormed the scene and the rankings ever since joining the UFC, and he was set to face title contender Anthony Hernandez before Hernandez pulled out. Allen did step up to save the card and the main event, but a short notice fight against De Ridder could be biting off more than Allen could chew. This is a 5-round fight, and Allen struggles with managing his cardio 5 rounds, having gone to the 5th only once. Can Allen catch De Ridder with a crazy fluke punch and knock him out? Yes. Can Allen submit De Ridder? Yes, Allen is a BJJ black belt. Will Allen be able to do either against De Ridder? Probably not. De Ridder has never been submitted in his professional career, and I don't think Allen stepping up on a few weeks' notice will change that. People need to understand De Ridder's not only a Dutch kickboxer, he's a BJJ black belt, a judo black belt, and a 2016 European Jiu-Jitsu silver medalist. My pick is Reinier de Ridder via submission, round 4. If you like this content, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we out!